Hello, fine people of the world. I am Justin Rivas, and today I'm talking about two incredible gaming monitors, the BenQ MOBIUZ EX2710Q and EX2710R. These are some of the best gaming monitors I've ever had the privilege of playing on. And in full disclosure and also context for the review, BenQ reached out to me and said, do you want to review these monitors? I said yes, and then they said, you get to keep one, and then you'll send the other one back. So what that meant was, I really wanted to spend some good time with them to figure out which one I would want to keep and which one I would send back. And very interesting, tough decision, but we'll talk about what is the same between them. We'll talk about what's different and who these monitors would be better suited for between the two. Although you can't really go wrong with either. And I'm not just saying that because I get to keep one monitor from BenQ, but they're just both really nice. I really enjoyed my time. Let's talk about major specs. Both of these are Quad HD 1440p 165 Hz gaming monitors. They're serious contenders. They both have AMD FreeSync Premium, but this one moves up to Premium Pro on it. This one is an IPS panel. This one is a VA panel, which there's lots of technological differences that we'll get into a little bit here, not completely. I have a whole other video on that. But what's surprising is typically the IPS panels are better for gaming, but they both sport a 1 millisecond MPRT response time. I can tell you I love playing Call of Duty at 120 Hertz, and both of them are smooth. There's no ghosting, there's no tearing, there's no smearing, they just look fantastic. On that note too, know that both of these monitors support 120 Hertz, 1080p, and 1440p over HDMI, which if you've had experience in the past with 1440p gaming monitors, the older ones didn't really do that, which was no good when it came to PS5s or potentially some of the new Xbox consoles. You couldn't do 120 Hertz gaming over HDMI. You had to do over DisplayPort. Both of these, you can basically do almost whatever you want. They both support 4K, 60 Hertz. They support 1440p at 120 Hertz, and they support 1080p at 120 Hertz. They will not do 4K 120 Hertz because they don't have HDMI 2.1, but they will do pretty much everything else. And on that note, these monitors are intended primarily, I would say, for high-end PC gamers who want that great 2K gaming experience, but they're also fantastic for the new Xbox consoles, which will do 1440p at 120 Hertz. Although I did spend a good chunk of time playing my PS5 at 1080p at 120 Hertz, and they still looked really darn good. They also both have the TreVolo, or I'm not 100% sure how to say it, but 2.1 built-in speaker system. This is 2 speakers and a subwoofer, also with a dedicated DSP chip that optimizes your audio experience depending what kind of game you're playing, racing, first-person shooter, RPG. I was skeptical of speakers inside a monitor, especially ones that are on the back, and they sound really good. Other shared thing between them, build quality, fantastic. These are solid. They're not the world's thinnest monitors, which I don't think you care about in a gaming monitor because they've got a lot going on inside of them. Obviously, they've got to cool themselves, lots of venting, but the plastic feels thick and sturdy and quite nice. Although the R does get lights on the back of it, which isn't the most necessary thing, but it is pretty cool to be able to light up the back of the monitor and just create a little bit of ambiance. One more piece of BenQ technology that these two share is HDRi, and it's their proprietary system for giving you that HDR-like effect, even if you're not being fed HDR content. Now, both the monitors support HDR. The R is an HDR 400 certified panel. It has better contrast ratio, deeper, darker blacks, but both of them are going to help you in taking those deep dark shadows and boosting them up so you can see a little better, or taking those brightest areas and bringing them down so you can resolve that detail. It's really hard to show and explain over a camera. Your eyes are so much better at seeing it, but just a simple way to understand that is let's just look at the PS5 menu, where you can see that this image is very dark around the edges, we'll turn on the HDRi, and boom, suddenly those shadows are so much brighter. And depending what you're playing, there's a bunch of different modes you can customize almost endlessly, easy to jump into. Put it on the first-person shooter mode, and you can now spot all those campers in those dark corners in row skins on Warzone. Or if you're playing a more cinematic game, it's gonna give you a richer experience out of it. If you really wanna dig into the customization, they give you like 20 levels of like light tuner and black level and all sorts of things you can do. But they also make it really easy just to switch into a couple of different modes, get going, and you'll immediately see and tell what you like. Last thing I'll say between these two monitors is they both have BenQ's, I don't remember the exact name, but an eye-saving technology. I think it's called Eye Saver. Maybe it's that simple. But it's going to be easier on your eyes, less eye strain, which is great for those longer gaming sessions, and something you would probably expect in a high-end monitor. Both of these have that. Let's talk about the differences between these monitors, and ultimately it comes down to the technology that they use to build the two panels. This one on the right is an IPS display. IPS is typically better at colors, especially when you've got a panel like this that is a true 10-bit panel. That means it's able to resolve, I think it's like 1 billion colors, or just way millions and millions more colors kind of in between all the different spectrums. If you're feeding it 10-bit content, it's going to look amazing. And even on everyday playing, I personally found the colors on this one just to be a little bit better, a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more accurate, a little bit more richer. I really enjoyed the colors on it. So if you're a professional where colors really matter, and maybe you want a gaming monitor, but also something that you can edit your photos on, edit videos on, color grade, or do things where colors really matter, this panel is the one that I would recommend. However, what you're going to get on this panel is the colors may not be quite as good. It's still a beautiful panel, but this one is a VA panel, and that technology means you're going to get more contrast ratio. 3,000 to 1 contrast ratio versus 1,000 to 1. What that means on this panel is you're going to get deeper, darker, richer blacks, smoother gray tones, and you're just going to notice the light in general looks a little bit better. As well, this is a true HDR 400 certified display. It goes a little bit brighter. It's not going to do like blow your mind HDR like a OLED or the high-end TVs where they're doing, 1,000 nits of brightness. This one does 400 nits of brightness in HDR, but you definitely notice it's a little bit brighter. So if you're playing in a really bright environment, this panel is going to get a little bit brighter, and the HDR effect on this is going to be a little bit better. One thing that VA panels normally struggle with is viewing angles. IPS is usually the best in that you can move side to side and the picture doesn't change a ton. It's why pretty much every home TV is an IPS panel as people sit around the room. IPS is typically great at viewing angles. I don't know what they did with this panel, but it's incredible. I have another VA monitor over here that's my normal PlayStation gaming monitor, and as you get side to side or up and down, it doesn't look the same. Some of it I think is the curve, but they've just put an incredible screen inside of here where even me, I'm looking at it sideways and it's not washed out, it's not weird, the colors look good, and the whole curve thing is working for me. So, brighter rooms, or I would say media consumption. If you want a screen that you can watch a lot of content on, being able to be a little bit brighter, being able to have the full HDR 400 versus just, a general HDR support, this is a better panel for consuming media, and it comes with a remote. This one doesn't, but that just tells you it's a little bit more aimed at media. So, consuming media and gaming monitor, creative professionals and gaming monitor, those are really the differences I've found. Normally, on VA panels, they would be a slower response time. They might be 3, 4, 5 milliseconds, and the IPS would be 1 millisecond. They've done an incredible job with both of these and making them really, really smooth. So that makes this one more of a compelling argument. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what swung it for me. I get to pick one to keep. While I do a lot of creative work, I have a high-end Mac, and it's got the screen that I can do that color correction on, and that's a cool feature to have in this one. But I love the contrast ratio of this one. I like the deep, dark, inky blacks. I love VA panels. Personally, that's just my favorite choice, although the other one that I have is a 5 millisecond response time, and this one is a 1 millisecond. And I wasn't sure that I would notice the difference. People talk about it, but I'm like, the other panels seem fine. After playing and seeing how smooth this one is, and that I'm not giving up the viewing angles of it, and it's got the little bit of lighting on the back. I enjoy the curved screen. This panel just personally for me won me over right away. And they're both great panels. I really enjoyed them. But for me personally, I would pick this one unless you're a creative professional and you're wanting an IPS panel to work off of. I like this one. I like the R. I'm going to be sad to send them both back, but the curve is sexy to me. If you don't like curve, this is going to be a great option. But overall, I've just really enjoyed my time. And I'm so happy that unlike other reviews where I'd normally just pack them up and send them back, or I would have had to buy it myself, they've given me the one to pick, and I'm going to pick this one. I don't know. What else can I answer for you? Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Have you had experience with these? Are there any specific questions that you have? Just overall, great experience with both of these panels. Height adjustable too, if you care about that. They go up and they go down. Anyway, I'm Justin Rivas. Thanks for watching.